ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यङ्करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै ॐ शान्तिः शान्तिः शान्तिः. Arjuna is told to fight because that is what, for many reasons. One is that is what he signed up to do. Arjuna is told to fight because of dharma. Dharma doesn't mean what we call as the overarching dharma, which is called samanya dharma. Somebody does something good to you, you do it back. That is one form of dharma, one articulation of dharma. There is another articulation of dharma called swadharma. Very, very difficult to figure out. In fact, one keeps wondering all of one's life, what am I supposed to do? Bhagavad Gita, that is why we say, if you don't know what you're supposed to do, study the Bhagavad Gita. Then you will know. Bhagavad Gita makes it very, very simple. If you are a son or a daughter, you have certain responsibilities. Then you become a mother or father, you have certain responsibilities. You have responsibilities as a neighbor, as a citizen to the country, as an international global person. You have responsibilities everywhere. And all that is part of dharma, swadharma. And this is what Arjuna is told. Swadharmam api chavekshya navikampitum arhasi. Dharmyadhi yuddhat shreyah anyat kshatriyasya navidyate. You are actually lucky. Here you are. What are you supposed to do? You are supposed to be a kshatriya. You're a warrior. And you have a war that is very clear cut. It's not a muddied war, Arjuna. It's a clear cut war. One side dharma, another side adharma. It's a no brainer. You just have to go to the battlefield and do what you know how to do best. And here you are wondering what to do. And for that reason, he is not, but can't he just get up and go? Yes, that option is there. And even Arjuna knows that option is there. Only in the Vaidika dharma that option is there. No other dharma. In any other place, if a person who is in the, let's say, in the military, in the middle of the war goes, it's an offense. It's called dereliction of duty all over the world. It is punishable. It's a big offense. But in India, which is the mother of all spiritual civilizations, there is a way out. And what is that way out? Sannyasa. That's the way out. Because no other way, no other tradition talks about this. The ability to let go when you are ready to let go. But that readiness has to come. Without, and without knowledge, that readiness doesn't come. And what is this knowledge? The removal of one's own subjectivity is this knowledge. Without that, the readiness will not come. And Arjuna was not ready. And we see that he is not ready. Why? Because in the beginning, he is full of aplomb. He is full of himself. And he says, he forgets this is Lord Krishna driving my chariot. He forgets about that. He orders him around. Hey Achyuta, Ratham Sthapaya me. Put my chariot. Oh, Achyuta. Very informal address. Sthapayam Ratha me. Put my chariot. Where? Senayor Ubhayor Madhye, in between the two armies. Ratham Sthapaya Mechyuta. Why? Yavadetan Nirikshyeham Yodhu Kaman Avasthitan. So that I can look, who are these idiots daring to fight with me? You see, there's a lot of ra, 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 chest beating and all this machismo, meaning there is a lot of, saying, I'm the best warrior. I don't even have to use my bow and arrow. I just have to look at them and they run away. This kind of a pep talk, because who wants to fight? Nobody. And you have to tell yourself all these things in order to be ready to fight. Yavadetan niriksheham yodhu kaman avasthitan. And then the ahankara grows and he says, Kair maya saha yodhavyam asmin ranasamudhyame yodhyamana niriksheham ta ete atra samagataha dhartarashtrasya durbudhehe yuddhe priyachikirshavah. So these people who find war a delightful action, who are these people? Who are these people who are assembled here as a result of the wrongdoings, the durbuddhi, the wrongdoings of the clan of Dhritarashtra? Who are these people who are assembled here? Who are these people who dare to fight with me? I am known to be the best warrior for ages around. And who are the people who are these people? Who are these idiots? Let me find out who they are. Take my chariot and put between the two armies. He's showing off as the commander-in-chief. Lot of aplomb. And he's riding high on the coattails of the knowledge that he is a very, very good warrior. Then what happens? Krishna could have taken offense. What is this? You're addressing me like this. Why should I do? I was obliging to drive you, and here you are making me into a driver. I'm not going to do this. No. He doesn't do that. He doesn't take it personally at all. And he keeps the chariot exactly where Arjuna asks him to. But with a twist. With Krishna, there is always a twist. That's why he stands in 3 twists. Tribhanga. Always there is a twist. And what is the twist here? He inches the chariot to where all the elders are standing. Who are they? Bhishma, Drona, and Arjuna's newly minted courage leaves him immediately. When he makes eye contact with all these people in whose lap he played, they should have been on his side, and they are all somewhere else. They are all against him. And he cannot imagine them killing him. He cannot imagine him killing them, much less. And he is completely kripaya avishtaha, overcome by sorrow. Kripa here is not exactly sorrow and not exactly compassion, but it is a misplaced empathy. Kripa here. A misplaced empathy, a displaced empathy. Empathy is okay. You can be in the, you can be in the shoes of the other person and say, oh, I'm sure facing this situation, they would be having a hard time. You empathize. But here it is not this kind of empathy. Here it is more, oh no, they are suffering. Oh no, I cannot handle it. That kind of an empathy where you are completely blown over. And so he is helpless. And we see him going from the strong warrior to having the first panic attack in history. And he describes the whole symptoms of the panic attack. Nakankshye Vijayam Krishna. He's dejected, he says. I don't want victory. Narajyam. What for is victory? For the sake of the kingdom. I don't want the kingdom. Na bhoga. So the kingdom is for bhoga, and sukha is for, enjoying all kinds of things. I don't want that either. Na rajyam bhoga sukha nicha. Kinno Rajyena Govinda. What is the use of all this kingdom? Kim Bhogaihi. What is the use of all these objects of enjoyment? Yesham Arte Kankshitam Naha. For whose sake these enjoyments could be enjoyed, because I don't want this enjoyment if I cannot have Duryodhana eating on the same plate with me. Now you may ask, what is wrong with Arjuna? That's the correct question. That is the correct question. I want to be arm in arm with Arjuna. We should be sharing the same food from the same plate, because that's how we grew up. And now he is against me. And if I am supposed to kill him in the war because it is my duty, and I do end up killing people in the war, that means what? This life is not at all enjoyable for me. I don't want to live. And then he has symptoms of a panic attack. Having said this, and Kim Bhogaihi Jivitena va. Why should I even live? Because all the people who I wanted to be with, they are what? Te ime avasthita yuddhe pranam tyaktva dhanani cha. They have spent a lot of money for this war. And here they are assembled. And what are they doing? They are against that. They have almost given up their life because this war is going to be very bloody. Arjuna knew. It's going to have a lot of bloodshed. And why do we need this war? We don't need this war because I'm ready to give up the kingdom. I'm ready to give up everything. And I can just do this completely, and I don't need this at all. And then he has a panic attack. He says, Gandivam samsrate hastat. Gandiva is the name of his bow. And so the bow is slipping from my hands. Why? The hands are perspiring. Hands are perspiring. Why? Because he's having a panic attack. Hands are perspiring. Gandivam samsrate hastat. Oh, and I think I have fever. Tvakcha paridahyate. It's not COVID, I know, because in those days there was no COVID. Tvakcha paridahyate. And then what else? My mind, I'm not able to focus. I'm not able to say, okay, that soldier I have to shoot. I'm not able to focus the mind. Na shaknomi avasthatum. I'm not able to focus. Bhramati iva me manaha. My mind is all over the place. It's running around. And when the mind is not focused and one is in the middle of a panic attack, what happens? What happens is that one starts to become very superstitious. Let's say you have a neighbor who has a black and white cat, very common color of cat. Every day it comes and rubs itself against your leg, and you also pet it and then go to work. Then one day you have an important job interview and the cat comes. And then you say, oh, oh no, oh, maybe this is an omen, maybe I will not get this interview, black cat. Up till then you had not even noticed that it had black patches. For you, it was just a pleasant thing that you encountered every day. Harmless, small little cat. But then today, oh, like that fellow from Kerala who was going on a train. He was about to get on the train to fix his daughter's wedding. But then his heart was full of trepidation. The daughter was very dear to him. He wanted just the best for her. And this prospective bridegroom, how is he going to be? Will he keep her nicely? Ancient story this is. And then this is a story from the 60s. And so will he keep her nicely? What is going to happen to my daughter? I'm so in love with her. I'm so fond of her. She's like a flower. I want the best for her. So thinking, he climbed on the train. And he was wondering, should I go? Should I get off? And then there was one bonda seller. Bonda, fried fritters. Yeah, on the train, on outside. Bonda, bonda. And this Kerala fellow heard it as ponda. Ponda means don't go, don't go. Then he got down from the train. No. See, somebody is telling ponda, ponda, don't go, don't go. Then he said, come on, I'm an educated man and I'm in government service. How can I give myself to these kinds of stupid superstitions? I have to be courageous, I have to be brave. Because by that time, the Bonda man, was serving some customers. So he was not screaming and serving at the same time. So he was making some plates of Bonda and giving it in one compartment. Then he got on the train and again, Ponda, Ponda, he heard. So, this is what it is when the mind is not sthira, stable. When the mind is asthira, unstable, all kinds of superstitious thoughts come and catch hold of the person, make one vulnerable and weak. Even a person as great as Arjuna becomes vulnerable and weak. So weak. So, what happens now? Well, if paper bags had been invented then, then Arjuna would have been told by Lord Krishna, quick, breathe into this paper bag. Because apparently, when you're having a panic attack, if you breathe into the paper bag, then some carbon dioxide you breathe, the panic goes away. They say that. But in a way, thank God the paper bag was not invented, otherwise, we would have had no Gita. The fight would have taken place, and then it would have all been, the end of any spiritual teaching. So he was just completely overrun. Nimittani cha pashyami, viparitani cha keshava. And I don't know what to do. I don't see what good it is. Hatva swajanam ahave. Ahave means in this battle, when all these people are going to be killed, I really don't know what is the use of this. And he starts on a big diatribe. All the women are going to be widowed. What good is to come of that? The children will grow up orphaned, fatherless. The mothers will be grief stricken. And then this will be the perfect time for foreign powers to colonize and come and take over the country. They will introduce their laws. They will introduce their culture. What's going to happen to our culture? What's going to happen to all this? All because of my war and my, thing. This is how he was in the whole of the first chapter. Lord allows him to talk. It is like therapy. It is cathartic. Yeah. Because the more he kind of talks himself out. And at the end of the first chapter, we find Arjuna sitting in the chariot, which you are not supposed to do. You're supposed to be standing ready to fight. He has slipped and sat in the chariot quietly. He doesn't know what to do. He doesn't know what to say. This is why Bhagavad Gita is for the daily life. Because this is exactly how most people find themselves in this kind of a situation. At least once, if not every day in their lifetimes. You just know where to go. Don't know where to go. Don't know how to put one foot forward. You're in between a rock and a hard place. If you move this way, there will be certain unpleasant consequences. If you move that way, those consequences can be avoided, but you're generating certain other consequences. And what is the best thing to do at that time? Come to Gita retreat. That's what Arjuna did. Oh, Arjuna had a retreat, yes, but he was not very fortunate to have this kind of a wonderful place. His retreat was right in the middle of the battlefield, because the first thought he has is of leaving and taking the option that is there in the Hindu tradition. What is the option? Sannyasa. Leave it. That's all. Oh, but what about duty? If you're ready, leave it. It will take care of itself. You were not here all the time. You're not going to be here all the time. And when you're not here, things do take care of themselves. Leave it. It's okay. Well, he thought about it. Because he thought to himself, Kurukshetra is maybe one day walk to Haridwar from Kurukshetra, which is outskirts of Delhi. I'll just go sit under a tree. I think I look good in orange. So I'll just pick up a couple of orange dhotis. But then people will say he's a derelict from duty. Doesn't matter, I'll grow a beard. Yeah, I'll grow a beard so that people don't recognize me. And then what will I do? I'll just sit there and beg for my food. Forget job, forget war, forget warrior, all these things I don't want. And that's what he says. Guru na hatva hi mahanubhava shreyo iha bhaikshyamapi haloke. It is better to lead a life of alms. Only two people can lead a life of alms, Brahmachari and then Sannyasi. Is Arjuna a Brahmachari? No, not at all. Is he a Sannyasi? No, but he wants to be. He's about to leave. He wants to go. And then he says, this is what I'm intending to do. I just want to go, but then please decide what is good for me. I trust you. Yat Shreyam, whatever is the most exalted end for me, please teach me that. Please tell me that. You tell me. And as you tell me, I will do. I will do as you tell me. You please tell me what is the best thing for me to do. Shishyahate aham. I am your student. I am your disciple. Shadhi ma. Shadhi doesn't mean shadi, okay? Yeah. Shadhi means teach me. From shas, to teach. Shadhimam tuam prapannam. Unto you, the one who is surrendered, please teach me. Unto the I that is surrendered to you, please teach me what is the best way out of this. What is the difficulty? What is the hardship here? What is it that I have to do? Then only the teaching starts. And what is the teaching? The teaching of Yoga Shastra, the preparation for this knowledge, which is given thankfully in the Bhagavad Gita along with the knowledge itself. Tam tatha kripaya vishtam ashrupurna kulekshanam vishidantamidam vakyam uvacha madhusudanaha. The Lord finally speaks unto him who is overcome by sorrow. And what is this sorrow? The sorrow is saying that it is my people. The killing of my people. Wherever the word my comes in, what to do here, they understand that it is a belonging to the dictionary of subjectivity. The word my is part of the dictionary of subjectivity. This is one of the words in the subjectivity dictionary. My means what? What is this my? What is this me, even for that matter? No, these people are my people. How, how are they your people? No, because they are connected to me. When? How are they connected to you? No, because I was born to this family. Before you were born, was the family there? Yes. And where were you? Well, if we take the law of karma, perhaps I was born in another family. Okay, then that time they were my people. Yes, those people were my people. Now these people are your people? Yes. Then what is this kind of a my that keeps changing? You have to say my. What kind of a my is this? It keeps changing. It's a shifting my. It's a my that's always all over the place. And so this is not, this is not okay. This is not correct. And so therefore what? So therefore, this is not the idea here. The idea here is to interrogate this my. Mamakaha. These are all people connected to me. Arjuna, please understand, was not a pacifist. He's not wanting peace and he's not stopping the war. He is stopping the war or he's wishing to stop the war because he can't kill his people. This is where the problem is. Even though they are behaving so badly, he cannot kill them, and this is why he is overcome by sorrow. A misplaced compassion. Oh, they are all there. They want this, they want that. They are connected to me. In fact, these connections, dysfunctional connections, is another reason for this subjectivity. And the eclipse of subjectivity we see very well in Arjuna's, Arjuna's view. Because anybody looking at the Mahabharata from outside, the Duryodhana and his gang, they have done everything possible. They have done everything possible, violated everything in life in order to make this war happen. Otherwise, this war was a last resort. They've done everything because they are, in other words, they are called Atatayin. Atatayin means terrorist. Who is a terrorist? In the Shastra, there are 6 lakshanas of a terrorist. 6 signs. One is, the one who has committed arson. If you look at Duryodhana, check. Yes, he set that house on fire where they were staying. He built a house and then set it on fire. Yes. And then you have to have drowned somebody. Yes, that also he tried to do. You have to kill somebody with a knife. He tried to kill somebody with a knife. That also he did. You have to snatch somebody's property for no reason. That also he did. Like this, there are 6 conditions. He fulfilled all the conditions. In fact, all the Kauravas fulfilled all the conditions to be terrorists. And here is Arjuna saying, I don't want to fight them. From the standpoint, from the view for us from outside, what does it look like? It looks like Arjuna has a problem. Definitely. It is called, psychologically, there is a name for this problem. It is called Stockholm Syndrome. Stockholm Syndrome. There was a bank robbery, sometime in the early 1900s or sometime there. And then the bank robber, it was a bank robbery botched up. Anyhow, the robber went inside the bank and then took 4 or 5 people, bank workers, ATM workers, bank manager, everybody was taken hostage. And 1 week there was a standoff. And all the police people and the hostage negotiation specialists, that's why it's called Stockholm Syndrome, because it was the Bank of Stockholm. And they all came. And they all tried to say, okay, leave them be, etc. Then finally they were successful. And the kidnapper and the hostage taker finally came out with his hands, up, surrendered. Then they noticed a strange thing with those survivors. One would have thought that the survivors would be ecstatic and happy to be released from this monster. He had beaten some of them, tied up some others, dangled one child out of the balcony. All these things he had done. But they were all begging the police, don't be too hard on him. Don't give him death penalty. Don't give him life imprisonment. And they said, what's wrong with you? What kind of a water did you drink that you're having these kinds of thoughts? What happened? This is completely opposite. You should be saying, give him the maximum punishment. This callous fellow who robbed us of our life for 6 days. But here you are all on his side. What is happening? This is a psychological thing, because for the sake of survival, they had to just make sure he was happy. The terrorizer, for the sake of their own survival, they had to make sure he was in a good mood. For the sake of their own survival, so that they would come out of it unscathed, they had to make sure that this person was not, otherwise they would become the next victim. So this person would spare them. And so that is what is Arjuna's predicament. Stockholm Syndrome. And this Stockholm Syndrome itself shows how terrorizing Duryodhana and company must have been. You can see here also there is some kind of a psychology operating. Well, who is the father of all these people? Dhritarashtra, blind by birth. And then married to who? Who was Dhritarashtra married to? Show some signs of life. Yeah, Gandhari. So, Gandhari from present day Kandahar. Yeah, Afghanistani lady. Okay, yeah. And then what happened? She should have said, "Oh, my husband cannot see. I should be your eyes and ears. I will describe to you the colors of the world." No. Stupid lady said, if my lord cannot see, I will also not see, and bandaged her eyes on the day of the marriage. And if she makes that kind of a decision, then such people, such couples should not have babies. But then they went ahead to have 101 children. And the children grow up without any eye contact. Children need eye contact. That is how to raise a child. You need to interact with it. You need to say how wonderful, even if you're tired and sleepy. As a parent, you have to say how wonderful you did that. And the child will do some silly things like jump off a sofa. Oh, you did that all by yourself. Wonderful. And he'll do it 20 times. You have to keep patiently encouraging the child. No eye contact. They all grew up like wild seed. They had everything in the palace. They had all the things possible. But then what happened? They had no guidance, no parenting, no parenting at all. Father was farther and farther away from them. And from the mother, you can make the M silent. Mother was other. Okay. Yeah. No parenting. This is a psychological problem. That's why Duryodhana was caught at age 8. He was not even 8. He was almost 8. He was caught strangling a bird. Just a small little bird that he just happened to catch. He was a sociopath, psychopath. And so even then, this Arjuna is going on their side and trying to speak on their side. Some kind of a terrible counter transference of his own feelings, his own fears, everything. But sannyasa is not an option. Why? Because the Lord doesn't allow him to take sannyasa. Why? Because he was in the forest for 12 years and 1 year of incognito, ajnata vasa, incognito living. He could have had, in the forest is full of people who know Vedanta. This knowledge of oneness, sadhus walk the forest, that is where he was. He could have sat with anybody and said, please tell me this. My heart is changed over. I don't want this war anymore. He could have even asked Krishna. Anybody would have obliged. But he spent those 12 years full of grudges, seething, upset, keeping the powder dry by chanting the mantras for the arrow that would pierce Duryodhana, chanting the mantras for the arrow that had all these names on it, names of the people, mantra-powered missiles. He was busy nursing a grudge. And Draupadi, think about Draupadi. Draupadi herself was even more bloodthirsty than her husband's. Draupadi said, and because Dushasana, I don't know why any mother and father will give the name Dushasana, badly behaved. I think his name, yeah, it changed into Dushasana. So this Dushasana sat and, told Draupadi, and he pointed to his lap and said, come darling, sit on my lap. Your husbands are useless to protect you because they have staked you in a game of dice. Now you belong to me. Draupadi never forgave him. Draupadi said, I'm not going to comb my hair. I'm going to grow dreadlocks. Oh, that's terrible. Why? Because until I have the blood from his thigh to as hair gel, I'm not going to comb my hair. This is where they were. 12 years they spent in agony. 12 years could not come too fast. They were waiting for this war. They were all gung-ho about this war. Totally waiting for this war. And then what? Now he says, I want to become a sadhu. Does this ring true? No. It is said, when the going gets tough, the tough get going. This is Arjuna's predicament. This is not sannyasa material. Sannyasastu mahabaho dukkhamaptumayo gatah. Sannyasa, oh dear, mighty are many epithets in endearment, but some of them are also for the sake of teaching. You may have all these biceps, triceps, deltoids, mighty armed one. But then one day of sannyasa also you will not last. Chicken hearted fellow. Mighty armed one he's trolling Arjuna. He's actually calling him chicken hearted. You won't be able to last. Why? Because you are not prepared. Sannyasa means you have to be prepared. You have to be prepared to live without validation. You have to be prepared to live without friends. You have to be prepared to not have any dependency on the friends and family and children and spouse, etc. And unlike many other traditions which also have the monastic orders, in our tradition we don't have some kind of an organized monastery supporting us. No, it's just you and the sky. That's all there is. It's not somebody is giving you a monthly stipend and you can go and sit somewhere and, oh, that's very pleasant. No. You just eat what comes or you don't eat at all. It is a life of tapas and it's a delicious, wonderful life. If you are prepared for it, you are the happiest person. If you are unprepared for it, you are the unhappiest person. And Arjuna is not prepared because he is seething. His priorities are all topsy-turvy. He is not in a place to make any kind of a decision. Such people cannot be let loose into the world as sannyasis who are seen as source of inspiration to many. And so therefore, the Lord says, do not go for sannyasa. He doesn't allow him to go for sannyasa. He starts the teaching right there and then. Tamuvacha hrishikeshah prahasan iva. Prahasan iva means smiling. Arjuna is crying. The Lord is smiling. Very nice contrast. And you know why this contrast is there? Because this teaching will make you laugh and smile at your own predicament. After studying the Bhagavad Gita, one will think, how could I have been so foolish? Why do I do this? This is obviously not the correct thing to do. So, smiling, he says. Right there in the middle of the two armies, Senayor Ubhayor Madhye, Vishidantam Arjunam Idam Vachaha, through these words, for the grieving, afflicted Arjuna. And one would think after this build-up, oh, this should be a very important teaching and it should be wonderful. Let us see what it is. And the teaching starts with the 11th verse of the second chapter. Ashocyananvashocastvam Ashocyananvashocastvam Prajnavadamscha bhashase Prajnavadamscha bhashase Gatasu nagatasumscha Gatasu nagatasumscha Nanushocanti panditaha Nanushocanti panditaha. Panditas do not grieve. Pandita means Pandaha Atmajnanam. Pandam Asya Asti iti Panditaha. The one who has Atmajnanam. The one who has this self-knowledge means the one who has zero layer of subjectivity. Zero subjectivity in dealing and looking upon oneself, in dealing with the universe, in dealing with the world at large, in dealing with God. Zero subjectivity. That is the one who has Atmajnana. And so that is the one who is called Pandita. So this Pandita, what do the Panditas do? Na anushochanti. They don't grieve in accordance to the situations. They don't grieve. Why don't they grieve? Because there is nothing to grieve about, they know. They have this knowledge that whatever happens, happens, but I am not the one that is affected, either by the death of a close one, or by the illness, or by any kind of loss, or by any kind of gain. I am not the one who is affected, the Panditas know. You talk like a Pandit, oh Arjuna, there is a disconnect. You talk all this highfalutin language of women being widowed and children growing up fatherless. You talk all these things about the country being in despair and everything being desolate. But you don't be. Here is the difference between the walk and the talk. And that is the problem here. You are grieved. This is not what we are taught to tell people who are having grief. If somebody is crying, this is not what you do. You don't say, oh, yeah, you shouldn't grieve. They will cuff you and make you grieve, okay? You'll get angry now. First they were only sad. Now you tell them don't cry, and they will make you cry. That's what they will do. This is not the thing to say. I mean, any kind of a semblance of some basic knowledge in psychology tells us you don't tell this to a grieving person. Yet Lord Krishna gets away with it. Why? Because he's not consoling Arjuna, he's teaching Arjuna. And in the teaching, it's not about trying to make somebody feel good. Nice, wonderful, wonderful. That's not what the teaching is about. The teaching is to show the reality. And what is the reality here? There are two orders of reality that are frequently getting mixed up. This is the reason for this grief. And what is the orders of reality? Atma, I. And then what? Anatma, not I. Only two orders of reality. I and not I. And where should the grief be situated? What is the source of grief? Let us see. Is the I a source of grief? No. The I cannot be a source of grief because the I is not subject to grief. This is what the Bhagavad Gita, Upanishad, and all our understanding and, wading in the pools of Vedanta have taught us this. The I is not the source of grief. The not I cannot be a source of grief. Why? Because it is insentient. How can the not I? Anatma is not a source of grief. Atma is not a source of grief. Where is this grief coming from? This is a very interesting question. Where is this grief coming from? I is not a source of grief. Not I cannot be a source of grief because it is just following certain laws. And so where is this grief coming from? And if you say no grief exists, then there will be no teaching, no second chapter, no third chapter, no fourth chapter, nothing. If you say grief is non-existent, then what are you trying to remove? Can you remove a non-existent thing? Say no, so we can move on. Yes? No? No. You can't remove something that is already not existent. This is called Lady Macbeth syndrome. She engineered the killing of her brother-in-law because she wanted her husband to be the king. And then she had these guilt feelings. All the palace, she was going like this, out, damn spot. She was keeping on saying she saw, nobody else saw blood, but she thought her hands were blood stained because she could not handle it. So this is the Lady Macbeth syndrome. Why? Because you're trying to remove something that's not there. If grief is non-existent, it cannot be removed. Oh, so are you trying to say grief is existent? Well, if grief is existent, then you should be okay with it. You should be sending yourself congratulatory notes. Oh, I'm grieving for the third week in the row because that is existent. That which is existent is your swarupa. That which is existent cannot be removed. And this is how it is. So if something wonderful happens, we should console one another. Oh, you're such a dharmic person. 3 wonderful things have happened. 3 happy situations have happened this week. So sad. But we don't do that. We don't condone happiness. We don't console and send condolences to somebody who is happy. We celebrate instead. And then we don't send congratulations to the one who is grieving. We don't do this. The grief is not there, it is there. It is there because it has a certain empirical reality. It is not in the realm of the I. Sat. Sat means that which is unchanging is the Sat. Unchanging I. Unaffected I. Liberated I. The I who is already free of pain, of sorrow, of burdens, of tension, of fear. That is the I that I want to be. That is the I that I want to know. And therefore, this is the I that I don't know. Or rather, I should say, one partially knows this I. Like the rope being mistaken for the snake, the I is mistaken for a samsari. Very, very sorry. I is mistake. This is a mistake. And what is the cause of this mistake? Maya. Maya means what? Ya ma sa Maya. Maya is all knowledge. Ishvara Shakti is called Maya. Ishvara's Kalpita Shakti. And as though Shakti that makes Brahman into Ishvara equips Brahman with the capacity to create, the capacity to project this universe and take back this universe. This is Maya. For Bhagavan, she is all knowledge. For the Jiva, Piva, what is she? Ignorance. She's manifest as this shadow of ignorance, which leads to this subjectivity. राहुग्रस्थ दिवाकरेन्दु सदृशो माया समाच्छादनात् सन्मात्रः करणोपसंहरणतो यो भूत्सुषुप्तः पुमान् प्रागस्वाप्समिति प्रबोधसमये यः प्रत्यभिज्ञायते तस्मै श्रीगुरुमूर्तये नम इदं श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये. Here, Ishvara is invoked as Lord Dakshinamurti. Unto this Lord Dakshinamurti. And Namaha idam Namaha, my salutations. And who is this Dakshinamurti? This Dakshinamurti is the one who takes away the eclipse of self-ignorance. Just like the sun, which is all shine, is as though eclipsed by the shadow planet Rahu. Similarly, the Jiva is eclipsed by this Ajnanam called Maya. Because of this individual iteration of Maya in the form of all Ajnanam, the Jiva suffers. And because of this, it's as though the person is sleeping. Ajnana nidra suptah. The person who is sleeping the sleep of ignorance. And the teaching is a wake-up call for the one who is sleeping the sleep of ignorance. So the Bhagavad Gita is like a Suprabhatam. How in the temples we have. We tell Lord Rama, the world is waiting for you, get up. So beautiful, very nice. At night you have the lullaby, the dola seva, and in the morning you wake up Bhagavan. Very beautiful way, very devotional. I find that so touching. So here the verses of the Bhagavad Gita wake the person up from this dull, tamasic, long-lasting sleep of self-ignorance. So you talk like a Pandit Arjuna, but then you don't behave like one. Because what do the Pandits do? What do they not do? They do not grieve over two things, which comprises everything in the whole world. Gatasun. Gatasun. Gatasun means Gataha Asavaha Yasmat. From which, from whom breath has departed. Means what? Dead people, yeah. Yeah. Dead people. From whom the breath has departed. Gatasu, Gatasavaha. And then Agatasun, from whom the breath is yet to depart. This is an objective view of the world and of all the people in it. Very difficult to assimilate, but nonetheless extremely objective. Because this is how it is. The moment the child is out of the womb, it is on the way to the tomb, really. This is all it is. The moment, in 1 second, it takes one breath, one less breath is there. We don't come into this world, the Shastra says, allotted with a number of years. We come allotted with a number of breaths. There is one Udana Vayu. You know, like how when we have mantra japa in the ashram, we have a counter. Om Namo Bhagavate Dakshinamurtaye Makhyam Shriyam Medham Prajnam Prayachha Swaha. Click. And somehow the counter always lands up in the Swami's hands. They always come and give it to me here, count. So you have to count 1001 mantra japa. So here Udana Vayu counts each time you breathe. And then when you panic, you're shortening your life. And then you are sad and you're sobbing. You're shortening your life because you're hyperventilating. You're shortening your life. Lord Yama is right around the corner because Lord Yama has the master list, the secret list of how many breaths one is equipped with. How many breaths one is allotted. Lord Yama has the count. You don't have the count. Lord Yama has the count, and then Lord Yama will come and collect the jiva at the end of the breath cycle, how much ever we have. Then some rishis got very clever. They said, oh, we are going to train, if the breath is connected to the lifespan, we are going to train ourselves to breathe 4 times a day. Enough. We'll just sit and do pranayama, breath management, so that we need very little breathing. Then maybe, we will not be mortals, we will become immortals. Not possible. You may live longer. It's better to be a yogi than a bhogi, we said yesterday. Yes. And then as a yogi, you live longer and maybe you do some good work in the world. But for Yama, it is nothing. 5 years you live more because you're breathing occasionally. And maybe 10 years you live. Let us give a very good benefit of doubt here. For Lord Yama, it's just a coffee at Starbucks. He just stops, oh, okay, this person is doing yoga and pranayama. I'll have some coffee. That's all. That's all. He's not going, he's not perturbed. He'll come back. He'll come back. But come, he will just definitely arrive. And so this is a fact of life. So those that are alive are yet to die. Those that are dead will be born. Jatasya hi dhruvo mrityuh dhruvan janma mritasya cha tasmad apariharyerthe natvam shochitum arhasi. You don't deserve to grieve because that which is subject to birth is always subject to birth. And that which is subject to death is always subject to death. You don't grieve over this thing because this is a fact of life. It is going to go. Everything is going to go. And in fact, it's not really going to go. That is the next piece of the lesson on the way to making Arjuna into a Pandita that he is not. The next piece is that it doesn't go, it just transforms into something else. Nothing goes, nothing comes. Even the physicists will tell you this. You can't add anything to the universe, you cannot subtract anything from the universe. All the things are just here to stay. And then all at the most what you can do is you can transform it into from one thing to another thing to another thing. You can burn something and then it is transformed into ash and carbon dioxide, carbon monoxide. You can put something in water, okay, it disintegrates. You can let the air dehydrate something. You can let the water, fire, air, and let the earth also, you bury a body in the earth, and then 2 years later it's not there, it's all completely composted. So, but what you cannot do is have any kind of an affliction to the Atma. You cannot do that at all. The Atma cannot be buried. Why? Because it is not an object. The Atma cannot be felt. The Atma cannot be talked about as an object. The Atma cannot be known as an object. It is you. There is a kartru karma virodha. There is a subject object contradiction. Who do you want to know? I. Who are you going to know? Who is going to know? I. How? How are you going to know? What does the Atma look like? And if you stand in front of the mirror, what do you get? You get a reflection. You get a reflection. This is not the Atma. What you see is not the Atma. Why? The content of the seer, the truth of the seer is the Atma, O Arjuna. What you hear is not the Atma. Sometimes, some schools of meditation, they say this. They say, oh, if you're sitting in meditation, you hear the unheard sound. I tell you, if you are sitting in meditation and you hear any sound, it's gastric juices adjusting themselves, especially before lunchtime. Kuru kuru, gudu gudu gudu. This is what it happens. It's not the Atma talking. Atma doesn't talk. Okay, yeah. Atma cannot talk. Why? It doesn't have a mouth. It cannot talk. And so it cannot talk. It cannot make a sound. It is not available to the ears to know. It is not available to the sense organs, eyes, ears, etc. Because the truth of the seer is Atma. The seer is Atma. Seen is also non-separate from Atma. Atma is neither seer nor seen. That which upholds the seer, upholds the seen without becoming either one of them. That is what is the I that we are talking about, Arjuna. Akledyoyam adahyoyam. And ashoshya aham. It cannot be burnt. It's not subject to the elements. It is not subject to becoming wet. It is not subject to earth damage, fire damage, water damage, air damage. What else is left? You can't say space damage because space cannot damage. Nothing can damage space. Just Atma is like this space, like consciousness, awareness that expresses itself. Aham, aham, aham iti sakshat, sakshi rupena bhasate, that expresses itself as I am, I am, I am, without any instruction. You don't need the Bhagavad Gita to know that you exist. You need the Bhagavad Gita to find out that the nature of that existence. That is why you need the Bhagavad Gita, because it is a means of knowledge, it is a pramana, it is because of which you know something. That is why you need the Bhagavad Gita, not any other reason. You don't need the Bhagavad Gita to say, I am existent or not. Let me open a page in the Bhagavad Gita and decide. No, that doesn't work. They say Gandhiji used to use the Gita as an oracle, and every day he would open the page randomly, read a verse, and lead his life by it. That's a nice thing to do. But if you open randomly to find out if you exist or not, you'll get a headache. Okay? Yeah. You'll get a big headache. Because that existence is what we call Swatas Siddha Atma. The I is self evident, self effulgent, self knowing. So, like the rope lying in the grass, I know myself. I know I am. Are you here? Yes, I am here. How do you know? I know. I know I am here. But please don't ask me the next question, who am I? Don't ask the next question, because the answer will come. What is the answer? Donkey, idiot, Buddha, Buddhu. Buddhu is opposite of Buddha. Okay, Buddha means all-knowing. Buddhu, opposite of that. Buddha wise, Buddhu otherwise. This is what the answer will come. This is exactly why you are grieving, because you don't know the simple fact of life. That the simple fact of life is that the one who has Atma Jnanam, for one whose subjectivity has been gone because of this teaching, that person does not grieve. Does not grieve, is not subject to grief at all. And therefore, what? So, therefore, you may be talking like a Pandit, but you certainly are not like the Pandit. And so saying, he gives a vision of this Atma. What is this Atma? Is it the body? No, because the body cannot be Atma, because I am aware of the body. I am aware of the mind. I am aware of the senses. I am aware of everything that there is. I am aware of my thoughts. I am aware of the absence of my thoughts also. That's why when I am enjoying a wonderful samadhi and I tell myself, oh, this is a lovely samadhi, the samadhi breaks open. As soon as you cognize it as a thought, it's gone. The immersion is not there. And so this is the nature of the I, the subject. And the whole world I relate to is object, 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 object. How many subjects? One. Why is it taking so long? Yeah. So, one. One subject. Non-dually one. That also we have to add. No duality here. Non-dually one subject and so many objects, myriad of objects. And the physicists call it an ever-expanding universe, where new species are being discovered every day. New kinds of things. Recently I saw deep sea creatures. And they don't, they're all very iridescent because they kind of reflect light, because at that level, there is deep sea, there is no source of light. So they don't have eyes, because what will they do? They cannot see anyway, there is no light there. They don't have eyes at all. They just have different colors, neon colors, so that they can recognize other predators and prey. They can recognize and go after them. They have all these various colors. And one of them I saw, it looked like a little table lamp with a little bulb which was all shining, going in and out. So these deep sea creatures, recently discovered. Where was it all the time? It was there, but it hadn't come to light. And then some fossil they saw. They found one piece of stone, which is not a stone, it's a resin, and it is called amber. Have you heard of that? Yes. Amber. It's kind of an orange color. And the study of amber is very important, because you can get information from the Paleolithic age, Neolithic age, because all those things are trapped there. And so they saw one spider, one ancient spider. It was eating something. And in the middle of this, must have been some volcanic activity. And then it was caught like that in this iridescent stone. And when was this amber discovered? Recently. Then they had a wild puppy they discovered with the Siberian glacial caps melting. And this wild puppy, so cute, it was preserved intact, totally intact. Then they sent it to the lab to cut it. Blood, fresh blood flowed after it was thawed out. It was just amazing. When was it discovered? Last year. It's an ever expanding universe full of all kinds of discoveries. And that means what? Things are always being born, 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 born. And then what? Things are being gone, 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 gone. Where are the dinosaurs? Gone. Where are the, where is the dodo bird? Gone. Yeah, dodo bird is gone. Unfortunately, it was eaten. It was eaten into existence. Gone, 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 gone. And in the middle of born and in the middle of gone is this is the life. Born is gone. Gone is born. Born, gone is. Is, born, gone. This is the cycle. This is what it is. And you sit and cry over everything. No, no, no. I don't cry over other people dying. I only cry about my people dying. This is a strange thing when you look at it this way. I was talking about this recently. I was remembering whenever there is, when I first went to America, like whenever there was some kind of earthquake or some kind of a natural disaster in India, then people would be very sympathetic and they would call me up and they would say, "Oh, is this, is this happening where your people are? Is this happening where your hometown is?" No, it's not there. And do you know anybody who has perished in this? No, I don't know anybody who has perished in this calamity, fire, earthquake, something like this. And they would say, "Thank God." I would say, "What? What is there to thank God about? What about the 2,000 people died? Their life doesn't matter or what? 2,000 people have succumbed. And then just because they are not connected to me, is their not life not worthwhile?" But this is how foolish we are. We say, "Oh, nobody connected to you died. Wonderful." There's nothing to be wonderful here. No wonderful. It's just a wonder. This knowledge is a wonder. And that is all there is. And so this is, so this my people, my means what? They will be here for me. They are connected to me. What kind? Okay, they're connected to you. How are they connected to you? This is my child. This is my parent. This is the mother. This is the father. This is the sister. This is the brother. This is the friend. Employer, employee. These are all the connections. These are the people that are connected to me. If something happens to them, something happens to me also. Putre nashte aham nashtah, putre pushte aham pushtah, there is a saying. If the child is suffering, I am also suffering. And if the child is doing well, I am also doing well. Let's say the child is suffering. If you also start suffering, what good are you to the child? What good are you to the child? You are of no use to the child. One, a interesting example. One graduate student came and talked to me and said, "I'm having a really hard time and I don't know what to do," and everything. PhD student. And then I said, "Have you talked to your advisor? What is the, situation? Have you talked to your advisor?" And she said, "Yes, I have talked to the advisor." I said, "What happened?" "Well, I told the advisor that my mother is sick, not doing well. My father is putting a lot of pressure on me to finish the PhD, and my student aid loan is running out. And I don't know what to do. I'm very, very stressed." I told the advisor that. I said, "What did the advisor say?" The advisor pulled me into her room and said, "Oh, that's nothing. my third husband is divorcing me, and then my eldest son doesn't speak to me, and I have so much debt, credit card debt, this debt, that debt, and your life is a pancake. Your life is a piece of cake compared to my life. And then she sent her off. So if you identify with somebody's distress, you are of no use to them. You are of no use to them. Just because somebody is crying, you also cry for your own reasons or for their own reasons. It doesn't matter. You're of no use to them. And so therefore, Arjuna is taught that there are only two sources of sorrow. That which is yet to come and that which is centered on objects. That which is yet to come and that which is yet to go. And both of those are not sorrow worthy, O Arjuna. They are not worthy of any kind of sorrow at all. How can they be worthy of sorrow? If going and coming is part of life, how can they be worthy of sorrow? And there was this story is there, a Zen story from Zen Buddhism. One man came to find a teacher, and he found a Zen master, and he was so happy to say, oh, this is my teacher, wonderful. And he wanted to get a nice present for his teacher. He chose a teacup with a lid on it. Very nice teacup, hot water the teacher could have, tea the teacher could have, and with great Shraddha gave him this cup. Gave him the cup. And the teachers did not even touch it. The teacher looked at it and said, young man, it is broken. And the disciple was horrified. Oh, so sorry. Let us see. He looked at the cup. It wasn't broken. And he said to the teacher, no, it's not broken. It's fine. Please take. And the teacher again looked at it and said, it is broken. It is gone. It's a broken cup. Said, no, it's not broken. After arguing with the teacher for a few times, go back and forth, then he understood, you know what? This is a teaching. The end result of this cup is that it is going to break. It is going to break. So therefore what? It is as good as broken. So there is that way. One is not sad when one breaks the cup finally, because the cup is already broken, already gone. And this going and coming will continue. And how to get rid of this sorrow connected to the going, connected to the coming? Very beautifully, Arjuna is taught. Lord Krishna says that you have to know the nature of the I. When you know the nature of the I, you see that the sorrow is an impostor. It is not you at all. The sorrow comes because you have confused the I for what it is not. So what is the nature of the I? The nature of the I is what we call Satchidatma, Satchidananda. Satchidananda is the nature of the I. Sat means it is. That is what makes you say, I am, I am, I am. It is. Sat, I exist. Chit, I know I exist. This is Chit. Sat means what? I am, I exist. Chit, how do you know? I know I am. Chit. Then, what is this Chit? Then finally what? Ananda. Ananda means I am all joy. Why is it all joy? It is actually Ananta, which has been converted by the Shastra into Ananda. It is Ananta, it's not Ananda. Ananta means limitless. I am, I know I am, and I never come to an end. Ahamasmi sadabhami kadachit na aham apriyah. Because when we see the source of sorrow and disgust and revulsion and disapproval, where is it? it is always because things come to an end. Kadachinna aham apriyaha. If I know I don't come to an end, then I am never the cause of sorrow. I'm never the cause of sorrow. And so therefore what? So therefore this Satchidanandam Brahma has to be understood, has to be known, has to be assimilated, whose knowledge has to be assimilated. This is what is going to make you fear proof, not fireproof, fear proof, sorrow proof. What is sorrow proof? Where all the sorrow goes poof. That is sorrow proof. No sorrow, no pain. Why? Because I know I am Satchidananda. Sat means existence. Everything exists. Flower is, and tree is, building is, computer is, body is, mind is. But all those existences, what happens? They go out of existence. They come into existence and go out of existence, says who? The I, who seems to have a special kind of existence that does not go out of existence at all. That is the I. When I say, oh, this is all, the whole world is, kshanabhangura, means it is all momentary. The whole world is kshanika, momentary, if I say. That means who is saying it? The Satchidatma, that is not momentary, is saying it. This is exactly how the laws of physics also work. Because in order to sense motion, that which is sensing motion has to be stationary, is it not? Yeah. If you are also moving, if you are sitting in the train and moving, and alongside another train is also moving, you are not able to sense the motion of the train. You are not able to do that at all. So therefore what? You have to be unmoving. This is logic. You have to be unmoving. You have to be still. You have to be totally understanding of this fact that you are not subject to any kind of motion. You don't come, you don't go. All that is there is you. All that is here is you. And therefore, this is what has to be understood. Sadatma, Sat as Atma. Whereas because of ignorance, I identify with that which comes and goes, comes and goes. I hitch my wagon onto that which comes and goes. And when that to which I have hitched my cart goes and falls in a ditch, I too fall in a ditch. This is the problem. I don't know how to maintain or keep this knowledge. I am the whole I am. And so this is what has to be corrected. And what kind of a sat is it? It is not a dead sat. It is a sat that is ever alive. It's a sentient I. It's not an insentient I. The I is very much sentient. About this sentient I, that is what is the teaching is. Because this I is not dead, because otherwise I would not know I exist. I know I am exist. I know I exist because this existence is non-separate from the awareness that I exist. I am and I know I am. Very beautiful. This is the I that Lord Krishna wants you to know, wants to become familiar with. And then finally, I am and I know I am. How long do you know you are? Do you know you are now? Yes. Are you here now? Yes. Now? Yes. Now? Yes. How about now? Yes. Then I'll ask another question. Are you sad now? Show some signs of life. It's okay. Are you sad now? No. How about now? No. Even if somebody were to say, yes, I'm sad now, I will say that was then. This is now. It's impossible to be sad now. Because this now is timeless. What is the length of now? No length at all. It's a timeless now. That is the I. Satchidananda Atma. And in fact, this I, the nature of this I is that it is all pervasive. This Atma is Satchidananda, and this Atma is manifest everywhere all the time. Ananda, 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 Ananda everywhere. You take a flower, flower is also Satchidananda. Why is the flower Satchidananda? It exists, yes. It exists, and it is all knowledge. It is all knowledge. Flower is means flower knowledge is. Why does the rose have so many petals? And even, the botanist will say, oh, it is because of the way it holds this dew and all. Why does it hold the nectar in this way? I don't know. All your knowledge is up to one more question after which you say what? I don't know. Why does the carnation have these kinds of leaves? I don't know. Why does the carnation come in this many colors and not in others? I don't know. You know why you don't know? Because it's not a carnation, it's an incarnation. That's why you don't know. That is why you don't know. It is just so beautiful. It's all knowledge. Flower is all knowledge. Even a rock is all knowledge. A rock exists. You cannot say it is sentient because it doesn't have the subtle body. But it is not separate from the all knowledge that is Chit. Chit is all knowledge. The rock cannot express itself because it doesn't have a subtle body, but it is all knowledge. In fact, it will put an end to your own life story. What is your life story? 4 marriages and 3 children, big deal. No, look at me, says the rock. I have seen the dinosaurs walk the earth. Actually, I am a meteor. I fell from some other planet. I broke off and I'm here now. I have the story. My life story is 1,000,000,000 years. Yours is 92 years. Big deal. Nothing. All knowledge. Totally all knowledge. Everything is all knowledge. And then, it is Ananta. Ananta means it cannot come to an end. Flower is, wilted flower is, withered flower is, composted flower is, another flower bush is, another flower is. Did the is get disturbed? Never. Is does not get disturbed in this whole process. Is. It is a Sat that never comes to an end. It is a Chit that never comes to an end. That's why it is Ananta. That's why it is Satchidananda. That is how to look at this whole thing. This is the self. And the mistake that one makes is to conflate the I with the roles that one plays. One's roles take over. The roles roll into the person. The roles roll into the person because the role and the person are one. The role depends upon the person, but the person does not depend upon the role. This is what we have to understand. And how to understand this, we'll see in the evening class. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om